Greetings, my dear beloved children. Today, I would like to return to the current events taking place on Earth, and this time to touch upon the issue of your attitude. To the people who have already accepted the injections, I see that many of you are completely lost and do not know what to expect from your relatives, friends, and acquaintances who yielded to general craze and agreed to injection. You should not be scared by this, my dear. No radical changes will happen to them. At least, it should affect you in no way. Changes will happen in them themselves, since now their material component will be prevailing in them, while the spiritual one will gradually reduce to nothing. From now on, they will be more health concerned than ever, since it is the fear for their life that encouraged them to take a step as thoughtless, which reptiloids staked on. These people will intently listen to themselves, seeking for new unknown symptoms of the disease that will urge them to get new doses of heavily advertised injection. And symptoms like this will actually appear because they were initially determined by all types of injections offered to people. For it is what their aim exactly was, to trigger in the human body a chain of irreversible processes resulting in self-destruction. And the reason why I tell you about this is not to intimidate you. I would like you to take everything happening calmly, not wasting your soul strength and energy on the things you're unable to change. In this case, there will be of no help any talks on the laws of the universe, spiritual work leading to recovery, and even on psychosomatics, since the soul of such a person is blind and deaf now. They start living according to the program instilled in them by means of injections injected into their body. Besides, there can be no noticeable changes in appearance of this person, yet their energy component is quite a different one. Now they cannot break free from the métis and bounds of the third dimensionality. They force themselves into this cage and locked it in a reliable way. Such a person will live what they are destined to, but with no spiritual ups and downs, no vigorous emotions or thrill of heart typical of a divine creature. They will be totally concentrated on themselves and their problems, and even if they show care to their family, it will be mostly done out of habit, because it is well established and supposed to be done. Yet, sincerity and warmth will leave your relationships, and you should be prepared to this. And the last thing I would like to say, do not show pity to these people, and do not feel guilty you have not managed to keep them from such a thoughtless decision, since it will help neither you nor them, but will simply take your strength and energy. You need so much for yourself, so as not to stumble and reach your own goal in an appropriate way. Well, to round up with our talk on destructive and constructive criticism, I would like to make a clearer definition of both of its types. As for the first type, everything is more or less clear. Any criticism conveying the negative energies of anger, hatred, aggression, or censure can just make the object criticized gain strength, be it a person or a situation, and consequently is destructive by nature. So now we will focus on what can be identified as constructive criticism. This is criticism that offers practical suggestions to overcome the complicated situation. But before all, it is essential to understand the causes that resulted in it, so as not to repeat the mistakes of the past. In other words, constructive criticism offers practical steps and solutions, and it applies to anything indeed, both your routine work and global problems. It is essential to learn to look at any situation not from inside, but from outside. What does it mean? You cannot concentrate your attention only on the negative result, trying to find those to blame for the things done. You should go beyond the surface and find the prerequisites of the things happened. Let us have a case study. During recent months, there begins to get disclosed more and more information on violence over children, which for many people comes as a real shock. But if you look at the situation in an impartial way, you will see that all this has been taking place for a long time now. From time to time, the information on this leaked into the mass media, with mindful people trying to sound the alarm. Nevertheless, most people preferred to take no notice of it. It was too shocking for them. Moreover, it did not concern them personally. In other words, these crimes were committed with the connivance of the majority of the planet's inhabitants. Some people, even suspecting of the crimes, kept silent, being afraid of high and mighty, while some others preferred not to believe that it actually happened. Everybody had reasons not to meddle in other people's business. Thus, due to taciturn consent of the people around pedophilia, gradually became unpunished and gained appalling scale all around the world. And in this case, constructive criticism will be not in the highlighting the search for those guilty, since in accordance with the universal law of unity, everybody is to blame, but in doing everything possible for this evil to become impossible to occur on earth from now on. What can be undertaken in this case? Beside the energy impulses of love directed to all the victims of violence, each country's citizens should show vigilance and demand of adoption of the laws that leave not a slightest loophole for the crimes like that. Unfortunately, my dear, separation that has been instilled into human society by reptiloids has resulted in indifference towards other people's sorrow and connivance of the gravest crimes. So now, it is high time to return to one's origins and build new life on earth in compliance with unity principles and personal responsibility of everyone for all the things taking place on the planet. Well, let us go on speaking about the way you can learn to love unconditionally still being in the world of the third dimension. At present, the time has come when each human soul is undergoing the durability test almost every day. The dark forces that has had their days being in agony is trying to impose on people the rules to make even the calmest and most patient person generate negative energies of irritation, censure, and powerlessness to change anything. It is the last energy mentioned that I would like to talk about in detail today, since, until now, we have not almost touched upon it. What lies behind the notion? Powerlessness to change the existing state of things. First of all, weakness, lack of strength, and energy depletion. Through this energy generation, there is carried out tremendous pump down of human vitality. And since nature abhors a vacuum, all kinds of astral beings are rushing to take it inflaming in people discontent, aggression, annoyance, sorrow. As a result, one's vibrations decrease sharply, while astral beings, reptiloids, and those with their ilk get their first-grade low-vibration nourishment and access to these people's conscience control. After the dress rehearsal of the play named Diseases, that according to its producers was a success, they finally made a decision to announce the first night. In compliance with the well-tested on your planet scenario of gradual instilling of the programs they need, they decided that the programs of fear for the invisible enemy and masking have already fixed in the subconscious of the overwhelming majority of the planet's population. So, they went further, making masking not voluntary, but obligatory, charging enormous fines for disobedience. Thereby, they provokes people for powerful outbursts of the energy of powerlessness to change anything, and as a way out of this situation, they are going to offer salvational injections. In other words, they decided to nag people into doing anything just to get rid of exhausting masking and the nightmare imposed on them. And so far, they have everything running smooth. But let us come back to the energy of powerlessness. Another side of it is recognition of oneself being a slave of the situation, and consequently, denial of one's divine origin and ability to create one's reality by power of thought and energy. It is the suppression of the freedom of will that has always been the main tool of reptiloids. They are perfectly aware of their being powerless in the face of human creator. That is why, from the times immemorial, their main purpose has been to turn tremendous human energy potential of people in their favor. And since the most powerful energy in the universe is love, it is love that they were and are trying to pervert, suppress, and reduce to the level of owner's attachment to one's family, which is typical of them themselves. While a person emitting unconditional love endangers their life, just like weapon of mass destruction. Yet this weapon hits only dark, low vibration creatures embodied as humans, those who cannot live in the divine energy of love. For pure human souls, this energy is a cleansing and sobering shower that washes away all the dirt of the third dimension world that's stuck on them and breaks up bundles of astral beings that every minute are waiting for moral lapse of a person so as to fall on their food. And you should have a clear idea of it, my dear, since with Earth's vibrations increasing more and more, many of you will start seeing the subtle level, and it should not make you frightened. Just show you what things really are. Here we will stop for today. Loving you endlessly, Father Absolute spoke to you, channeled by Marta.